Hello everybody, welcome to another round of Otaku United AS. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at the Polymega Console. This is more of a video in defense of the console. I bought mine about a year ago, and I do know that there was a lot of drama behind the console. Specifically when it came to FPGA versus emulation, the time it took for customers to receive their console, myself included. But I've had the console in my hand for over a year, and I'm telling you right now, the thing is 100% worth it. It was a million percent worth the wait, specifically for somebody like me. So space for me is an issue, specifically with where I live right now, and I just don't have the room for all of my retro devices, and I have a lot of retro games. So I kind of want to go over a couple of different things, and I'm calling out this guy right now, just, telling people not to buy the console. And I'm going to be honest with you, the console's worth it. If, yes, 500, 700, even $800, depending on which, how you decide to buy the console, does sound expensive. And I completely understand that price point sucks. But look at the price of a PlayStation 5. Look at the price of a PlayStation 5 Pro today. The price of the Switch 2. Of these brand new consoles, you're spending anywhere just to get the console home and play your first game. You're looking at anywhere from $600 to $1,000 for the newer consoles. So what does the Polymega do, and why am I a huge fan of it? So let's go ahead and talk about what it plays. It plays almost every single one of the retro games from yesteryear, and we're talking anything from the Atari generation all the way up to the PS1 gen. So I'm just going to kind of go through these real quick, so that way you guys can see what I see. We're not going to test that many games out today, because I want to kind of prove a point here. Let me get my controller up and running. I do not have an original controller hooked up right now. So it plays, 80s and 90s arcade games, Atari 2600, 2700, Atari Lynx. It does have a Atari Jaguar compatibility coming, which I'm going to be interested in myself. NES, SNES, and when I say NES, not just the entertainment system. Also, this also includes the Famicom, so the Super NES and the Super Famicom, the N64, the Genesis, the Mega Drive, the Sega CD, the Mega CD, the 32X, the 32X Mars, the Sega Saturn, TurboGrafx FX16. TurboGrafx CD, SuperGraf FX. This also includes all of your Super CD variants. The Neo Geo AES. There's currently not a module available for this one. They have a lot of games available through their I'm going to say the word compilations, but that's not the correct word. So compilations. There you go. So a lot of games are through their compilations right now. But the Neo Geo CDs. Plays Neo Geo CD games directly, PlayStation 1, and then it does one thing that a lot of these virtual consoles don't do, is it plays a lot of homebrew games. Like, you just put the homebrew games on here and they work. So a couple examples are going to be, let's look at the Sega Saturn specifically. We've got Shenmue Sega Saturn demo. We've got the Unreal demo Sega Saturn edition. Both work flawlessly on this thing. Dino Force, which came out from PC Works, a company out in Germany that does games for the PC Engine. So let me kind of go ahead and just talk about the price. If you were to actually, do that, and you're thinking about buying one of these, and they say it's too expensive, right? So this is the price of each and every one of these consoles, and I tried to find the cheapest versions of these consoles I could. So we're going to start off with the Atari. We're looking at, a newer version of that from Atari themselves. $85. The PC Engine Duo, you're looking at least $300, and that doesn't even include the cables that you're going to need to play the game, plus the actual PC Engine cards, like the Super CD card and the arcade card, if you want to go that route. Sega CD Model 1. It says $700 here. I know that sounds steep, but believe it or not, it is very steep for that console today. You probably, if you look around, you can probably get it for about half that cost, but you're still looking at least $350 for just the Mega CD variant, or the Sega CD variant. And keep in mind, this plays Mega CD and it plays Sega CD, so it does play both. All right, we have the Sega Saturn at $299. We've got a Sega Genesis, or depending on how much or where you look, you can find them anywhere from $80 to a couple $100. PlayStation ones are fairly cheap. You can get them from anywhere from 50 bucks, I'd say, to 100. An original SNES is going to set you back $158. That doesn't include the Famicom, which is also going to set you back roughly, I'd say, 50 bucks. If you're in Japan, you can find one for about that cheap. Super Nintendo SNES bundle, I'd say that price is pretty accurate. In Japan, you're probably looking at about $30 to $100, depending on if you get the system complete or not after the yen conversion. But just this part of it, just these consoles alone are $2,000. Sorry, let me say it again: $2,071.82. Now let's head over to Amazon Japan, because I wasn't able to locate a Neo Geo AES or CD unit. And so the Neo Geo AES console is going to set you back roughly 80,000 yen. And then the Neo Geo CD main unit will set you back 60,000 yen. Now, that's steep. And that's not the CDZ. The CDZ is almost double that price. But if you just look at these two variants, you're looking at 140,000 yen. That's about $1,000. So, to recap, this is $2,071.82 or 82 cents. $2,071.82 for the for those consoles I just mentioned. And then for the Neo Geo variant or consoles, you're looking at 140,000 yen or about $1,000 currently. So you're looking at over $3,000. Now, if you were to go to to buy your game or to buy your consoles from Duo, let's go to their website real quick. Analog Duo. I think they're called Duo. Typing one-handed here. Bear with me. All right, so we're gonna go. Yeah, that's called Analog Duo. That was correct. All right, so if you were to go and look at the price of each of their independent consoles, which are FPGA based, you're looking at roughly $299. So we're gonna go to the store and just kind of look at where their prices are currently at. So for the N64, it's $249. Again, this does not include a controller that is sold separately, and I know that because I've purchased these things firsthand in the past. The Analog Pocket is $219. I'm gonna admit though, this is cool. The Analog Duo, $249. They don't even sell the Sega Genesis, the Sega Duo or the Nintendo Duo anymore, which are double the price if you were to go to eBay to pick them up. So I'm having a hard time agreeing with those people that are saying that the Polymega is an overpriced piece of crap. So I know that with the N64, the compatibility is spotty. I'm in Japan right now. This is why you see the prices in yen. So let's go ahead and look at what that's asking. It's asking 118,000 yen plus shipping. You're probably looking at roughly $800 for all of the modules and variants. So what does that get you exactly? That gets you the Super Nintendo, that gets you the Sega Genesis, that gets you the Nintendo, and that gets you the PC Engine and all their regional variants. So yes, you are indeed getting everything. So with that said, how well does this thing play those games? From my perspective, and I've owned every single one of these consoles, the physical variant at one point. I've been playing games for a very long time. My very first console was a Vectrex. So a lot of you probably don't know what that is. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off with physical games that I actually own. I'm going to go ahead and just play one game from each console. We're not going to spend a lot of time, anywhere from 10 to 30, 10 seconds to a minute, probably about a minute on each one. So we're going to go with Batman first. Alright guys, I am playing one-handed here, so you do have to excuse that part of it. But that was the SNES, and this is actually the Famicom version of Batman. And let's now look at the Super Nintendo, or the Famicom, depending on where you're at. Let's put on one of my favorites. We're gonna put on Chrono Cross, or Chrono Trigger. And the cool thing about this system too is you can add patches to your games. So if you are Japan like myself and you want to play the English variants and the patches are available for those games, then this system's a lifesaver. And the nice thing about this console too is you can indeed mess with your picture. So I can make the picture a lot bigger, you know, if I wanted to. I can also change the picture type. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this to get the look the way you want it to look. I'm gonna leave it right there for now. I'll come back to that. And that's the Super Nintendo. Next, we do have the N64, and this is the console that I will say, admittedly, does have problems. However, playing the games on here, at least the ones I've played so far, seem to run fine. There are a few games that do have hiccups here and there. Let's go ahead and put on Zelda. Majora's Mask. I'm wondering if I have a save state on this one. Maybe not. is Zelda Majora's Mask, or Zelda no Densetsu Majora no Kamen. And let's go to Genesis. So for this one, I've got a ton. I don't have any Genesis games on here. Actually, I have all Mega Drive games. So let's go ahead and look at one of my personal favorites, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And we're going to load a save state. I'm in the middle of this game right now. I'm playing one-handed, guys. So. Okay. Sega CD. Let's do one of my all-time favorite games of yesteryear.
Game created staff, Wolf Team.
Road Blaster FX 32X, and I'm going to play this one with the patched version of Doom on here, which I do own the physical copy of. Combined with the patch, creates an amazing experience with the Doom the way it was meant to be played, which you cannot do, by the way, on the Mega Duo. Okay, next is Sega Saturn. And for this one, I got a ton of games on here, so I'm just going to show off. We're going to do more of the Road Blaster. I think it's at the bottom. This is the Sega Saturn version of Road Blaster. It's based off the original Laserdisc variant. And you'll notice on the Sega Saturn, I have the original Sega Saturn BIOS on there. And that's only because there was one game that wasn't compatible with the Polymega BIOS. So I went ahead and put the Sega Saturn BIOS on there, which actually fixed that problem. And so that's something that you can do on this system. So I recommend, if you can do it, do it. This is the PC Engine version of Knight Rider. I've got a couple of PC Engine games, and mostly my collection is PC Engine though. And then I have a few TurboGrafx games as well. Knight Rider. Dreamcast Knight 2000. カレーのナイトライダー、テレンジア、トニーバスト。
はい行きましょう。
Okay, TurboGrafx CD. So for this one, we're just going to go ahead and show off a personal favorite of mine. And let us do, here we go, found it. Macross. Okay, Super Graphics. So for this one, we're just going to go ahead and show off one game that a lot of you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with. Daimakamura. Daimakamura. Let's go ahead and play. Okay, next we got the Neo Geo AES. Right now, there's not currently a module available for this one. This is on a couple of games that are located on their compilation discs, which I'll show off in a few minutes. But right now we're just going to show off one of the games. Let's go ahead and run Androjunos. Got the little Polymega logo going up there. So this next one is what makes the Polymega, in my personal opinion, worth it. So a CDZ console is going to set you back at least, I want to say $450 to $600 if it's in really good working condition, especially if it comes pristine, and that doesn't even include the cables, okay? So, and that takes quite a long time to load some of these games. So we're going to go to one of the worst offenders, and that's going to be King of Fighters 99 is probably a pretty bad offender, and let's look at one that's really egregious too. So we're gonna look at Last Blade. Actually, let's do King of Fighters 99 because this one came out relatively late in the cycle of the Neo Geo CD, and to get into your game took roughly, I want to say upwards of about 2 minutes just to start playing the game. And I think I'm being generous by saying 2 minutes, so I'm not entirely sure if that 2-minute statement is accurate. I think it's a lot longer than that. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like on the Polymega. Sorry guys, one-handed again. That delay was my fault. But as you can see, the load times are instant. There is no load times in Polymega. Period. One of the things I want you to pay attention to as well. So in King of Fighter games, when you die or when you lose a round, you have to wait for a load screen, usually about 30 seconds to a minute, for the next character to start playing. Come on, Mine, do your job. And you're gonna see it's instant. Alright, so
Round 2.
0 load times. So that's what this thing brings to the table. So for Neo Geo fans out there, this is a no-brainer. All right, we'll do one more of Neo Geo game. Another one that's been relatively egregious, and that is going to be The Last Blade. And for this one, I will just keep pressing the button until I get in the game. As you can see, that is very quick, and it is a game changer if you are a collector of Neo Geo CD games. Alright, so our next console is going to be the PlayStation 1. And this one, let's do my personal favorite, if I can find it. It's here somewhere. Where are you hiding? Oh, there you are. have this up, I'm going to change the video presets. I've been meaning to do this for a while. Okay, I've already got it set to RGB blur and curve. Yep, that's where I want it. Perfect. Okay, finally we're going to look at Homebrew. And we're going to look at just one game, because time is definitely getting a little bit lengthy here. And let's look at Hellslave for the Sega Saturn. This is what the Sega Saturn could have been had developers actually taken their time and taken the time to understand the console more. So this game will run on original hardware as well, just for those that don't know. But because it's not an officially licensed game, it is on its own little library of homebrew titles. Now let me fix the presets. I want to fix the video settings on this one. I don't think I ever did that before. So we're going to go to here. We're going to put you one time. There you go. Perfect. Vasectomy software. And the people behind this worked some serious magic. Okay guys, I am playing this one-handed, so I'm going to die fairly quickly. But... Okay. Alright, last thing I want to focus on when it comes to the games are the Polymega games that have been releasing of late. So, right here, let me go ahead and take these down. These are the current ones that I own. I only buy what I like to play, so I don't own every single one of them. So we've got Asteroids, Heavy Barrel, Breakers, and a Tomaday. I've got one more game on the way as well, the 1943 series. And so I was going to go ahead and show off a couple of these, or just do one of them for time's sake. And we're going to go straight into the Polymega collection. And let's go to Visco Captain Tomaday. And we're going to look at Stormblade. And these are arcade games that never had an official release before, so I like the compilation that they're bringing to the system. A lot of these games have not seen re-releases on other consoles before, so I hope they continue to do that, what they're doing with these releases. If Polymega is listening to this video, Elevator Action Returns, man, would love to see that on here. But having said that, these games run flawlessly on this device. Again, I'm playing one-handed right now, so you gotta excuse that. And before I go any further, let's mess with the Virtual Console for just a minute, and we're gonna mix with I think we have the ability to change the, let's see if it does screenshots. No, there was the ability to do one other thing, and I think that had to do with the, oh, there it is, the bezels right there. Perfect. So I turned those off before, I remember now. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the game in action. Again, playing one-handed here. So I'm just going to try to avoid getting shot for now. So the compilation discs are a mixture of hit and misses. And what I mean by that is they have something for everybody. I mean, each to their own. Some people prefer the arcade games. Some people prefer these classic, NES or Famicom renditions. Some people like the Atari stuff. So, I mean, for me, the one game on here that I find to be absolutely amazing is Lunar Lander, the arcade edition. And then there's a couple other ones too, like Asteroids is really cool. Because you've got the original vector graphics in these games. Space Duel's another one. Let me go ahead and show that off real quick. So, can't really play with one hand, but you get the idea. You can see I was using those original vector graphics too. This game looks, I think it looks cool. Anyway, with that said, that is the Polymega in a nutshell, and my whole purpose of this very lengthy video, which I thought was going to be very short, was just to kind of explain to you guys the value of owning this console. It's worth it. Yeah, I know $800 seems like a lot of money if you're going all in with all the different modules and stuff, but when you start to do the actual math on what it's going to cost you to do that with, if you're to own each and every single one of those consoles separately, it's quite a bit of money. And the nice thing too about these compilation discs is they're not pricey. I mean, we're looking at anywhere from $25 to $40 depending on what variant you get. So I own 4 of them so far. I know there's 12 out altogether. I have 1 on the way, and I may end up collecting more in the future depending on what's released. But with that said, I do want to show you all the games that I did show off on that console. I have the originals of every single one of them. I think the only exception to that list is Duke Nukem 3D, and the only reason I own the copied version of that is because there was never a Japanese version released, and I just do not want to spend $200 on that game. So these are all of my original PlayStation games, Mega Drive games, 32X games, the Doom variant I showed you guys earlier, PC Engine, Sega Saturn. I got a little Neo Geo stack over here. My prized collection within my Neo Geo is probably going to be right here, King of Fighters 98. And believe it or not, King of Fighters 96, my two personal favorite within the Neo Geo franchise. Over here, I've got all of my Super Famicom games and then all of my loose cartridges, including the N64s over there. So that's the Polymega. All the modules are located right in there. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say if you have a space issue like myself, or if you don't want to deal with a million different consoles, and I'm exaggerating the number here, this system's it's a no-brainer. Buying each and every one of the dual consoles is going to cost you a lot more than buying a Polymega, and the emulation is spot on. I'm going to say for everything except for the N64 and in some occasions the SNES and Super Famicom. But other than that, every console runs flawlessly. I haven't had any emulation issues as of today, and I've played quite a bit of these games extensively. And I would even argue some of the more intense games on the PlayStation 1 and the Sega Saturn that you think would have a problem on here, they don't. They run pretty well. So, I know there's a lot of naysayers out there that say the Polymega is a piece of junk. It's an emulation console. It's not, it's not doing the FPGA, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, I've owned every single one of these consoles at one point in my life, and most recently I did have a Sega Saturn and TurboGrafx system, plus the Duo R and the Polymega Duo, and I can tell you, for the Duo experience, I preferred playing everything on the Polymega console, not the Duo, and that's only because I couldn't do save states. It was a pain in the ass to run certain games. The system wasn't very intuitive. It did have a lot of problems at the beginning. I'm sure with the firmware updates have changed a lot of that, but it stayed in the box for me afterwards, and I sold it not too long ago, and I don't regret selling it. I'd say if you don't care about FPGA versus emulation, get the Polymega. It's really a no-brainer. Not to mention you are supporting a small business in the United States that I know there's a lot of issues there at the moment, but the company is legit. They do release legitimate product. These things that have, the ability for me to play all of my games that I own physically on this thing, and I would argue with fidelity, make it well worth it for me. These are a couple games that I just picked up today at the local book off. So let's go ahead and show this one off real quick for those that don't know. Super Mario Brothers. That's a classic right there. Anyway, this is Otaku United AS signing out. If you have anything you want to add to the conversation, if you would like me to look at specific games, definitely shoot me a message and I'll be more than happy to do so. I do have the ability to do direct capture on all of my older consoles. I've been lazy. So, yeah. This is Otaku United AS signing out. Peace out, everybody.